Welcome to the Vera show where testimony, reality and truth meet you at the front door. Perspective to propose. Politics, religion, we talk about the real world we live in. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it on the Vera show. From purpose, uplift, encourage, inspire, motivate, and let's talk about it on the Vera show. The Vera show.
Hi, I am so excited today to have my guest pastor, Qunesha Brown. How are you today?
Hello. I am truly blessed today, and how are you?
I am blessed as well. And before we get into our conversation, let me share a little bit about Pastor Qunesha Brown. She is a visionary leader, a multifaceted entrepreneur, a dedicated community advocate who has spent her career bridging the gap between spiritual health and practical success. As the executive pastor for God's Anointed People, GAP Ministries, Qunesha provides the strategic oversight and spiritual guidance necessary to foster a thriving, mission-minded congregation. Her leadership is defined by a unique blend of compassion and executive precision, ensuring that the ministry's impact is felt far beyond the sanctuary walls. Deeply rooted in the heart of Oklahoma, Qunesha serves as the vice president of the GAP Community Development Center in Tulsa. Through this nonprofit, she spearheads initiatives designed to uplift the local community, focusing in on sustainable development and providing residents with the tools they need to achieve long-term stability. Her work in the nonprofit sector is a testament to her belief that faith is most powerful when paired with tangible action and intentional community investment. In recognition of her exceptional commitment to fostering harmony and collaboration, she was honored with the prestigious Real Unity Service Award from the Ministers Alliance, a nonprofit organization dedicated to spiritual and social advocacy. This award stands as a testament to her role as a bridge builder and a unifying voice within the greater Tulsa area. Expanding her mission of empowerment on a global scale, she is the founder of QB Women's Global Network International, an organization dedicated to connecting, equipping, and elevating women across professional and spiritual boundaries. An enterprising spirit at her core, Qunesha is also the owner of multiple successful ventures, including Executive Financial Solutions LLC, Quiniki Styles and More Salon. And as a certified financial and faith counselor, she occupies a rare niche, helping individuals navigate the complexities of wealth management through a lens of biblical stewardship. She empowers her clients to break generational cycles of financial struggle. I need to talk to you. And build lasting legacies and abundance. Making her debut as a first time author, Quenisha is proud to be a co author of I Am Black History, a project that celebrates heritage, resilience, and the ongoing legacy of Black excellence. This literary contribution reflects her commitment to honoring those who paved the way while building a future defined by purpose. Her writing is a bold call to live with intention, financial freedom, and unwavering faith. She continues to reside in Tulsa, where she remains a cornerstone of community progress and a mentor to the next generation of global leaders. So I'm excited to have you here. And given, I know Tulsa was once known as Black Wall Street. And
Yes.
I really want to kind of talk, especially since you've written a book about Black history. I do want to spend some time later on talking about that, what that looked like, what it meant, and especially because right now there is such a effort to minimize and diminish us as a people in this country. And that's
Yeah.
an issue. But we'll talk about that later. Right now, I'm going to give you the floor and let you share what was your childhood like and how did it impact you? And then we'll move from there.
All right, sounds good. Well, hi everyone. I am Quenisha. My childhood life. Wow. It was very hard. Um, I thank God though. I had a mother, I had a father. My relationship with my mother was very estranged. Growing up, there were a lot of things that took place. I have four other siblings. I am the oldest of five children. My mother, Sharon Jane Irby. When you see me, you see my mother. She was a very strong, independent woman. Grew up in the ministry, grew up in church. She had a praying grandmother. She had a praying mother. The whole bloodline went to church. So the roots are very deep. Again, it was very challenging because growing up, when I can remember my mother taking us to church, and more so, it got to a point of where she stopped taking us to church. At a certain point, my grandmother continued to take us to church, pray over us, and cover over us. Um, I experienced, I don't know if you all know anything about Tulsa, Oklahoma, but um, years back, I was born in 76, but years back here in Tulsa, Oklahoma, there used to be a street where women walked the street. There was a lot drug addiction, really heavy, and different things that were going on. And so I got to see a lot of different things that were taking place. But God is so good. God is so good. God is so good. So me remembering growing up and seeing different things as a child, you shouldn't see. Um, I can definitely say now that I am saved, just seeing how God's hands and His protection was over my life. The older I got, things began to progress as far as me being challenged in areas to where, because of my mother's lifestyle, I was challenged in a lot of areas where my innocence was taken. I was taken advantage of. There were different things that took place. So it was challenging. It was very hard, and honestly, just to even kind of tap onto it, that my mother was a single mother raising 5 children. I can even remember, and I'm now, I'm doing ministry, and I do street ministry. We're feeding the homeless, and we're reaching people that most people don't probably even want to stop to even feed them, or, minister to them, and just talk to them and just ask them how their day is going. I can remember probably at the age of probably about 8 years old, my mother was having a hard time trying to raise 5 children. And I remember us going down to the local community center and going in there for services as a community and being fed food. So there was nights I went home and I was starving. There was days and nights where my mother didn't have enough money to where she was able to feed us. We had cakes, whatever that they had that they was able to provide, throughout the community. So I experienced starvation. It's hard to say, but I experienced some things I never would even imagine. Even when I think about it, I'm just sitting here thinking to myself, I wasn't the only child. I wasn't the only one, the only family in the community that was going through this. But I ended up meeting a lot of people, a lot of different women, men, coming across different children. And we just learned, we not saying that it was normal, but you learn to live through it. You have to make the best of it. And then just looking back, I'm just sitting here thinking to myself, like, man, it must have been something. My mother was very courageous, but that had to be the most hardest thing in life, to raise children, not even have enough to be able to feed them, not even be able to go and clothe them properly. I remember when my father left, he went to the military. And so not having enough, barely enough money for food, we didn't always get brand new clothes. I remember me being the oldest. I was going to school with my feet hanging out the front of my tennis shoes, just being embarrassed of a lot of different things. So I believe growing up, I learned how to internalize a lot of different things. And I just kind of mentally just, trying to cope with being a little kid. But at the same token, I was kind of having a little bit fun too. Kids gonna be kids. So whoever came around, whoever we met, it was like we took on, like we became all family. You go down the street and you meet Sally, you meet Jessica. I mean, from every race, nationality you can even think of. So me growing up was kind of like, I got more family than actually my actual family members. That was the most amazing thing in life. And just sitting here talking about it, this is the first time ever in life I've really spoken about this. But God is so good. As
Yes,
we
he
move
is.
on and transition from my childhood, my teenage years became a lot more rougher. Um, yeah, that was very rough for me. Um, my mother became very abusive towards me, and sorry.
That's okay. And I understand that sometimes we can talk about our experiences and it's okay. And sometimes we can talk about our experiences and that flood of emotions come up. And so I understand that there may be something. I know you've had some difficulties in your life and some things in your life, and one thing, you were able to forgive and to be able to overcome. And can you tell us, what was that pivotal moment when you recognize that you had to take control over the choices that you made and over your life?
Who, you know what? I often thought about this over the years. I'm not going to say it was a challenging process, but a part of me was like, I feel like I'm destined. I am destined to have gone through this. Like I knew at an early age, even my grandmother, my dad's mom, When we had the opportunity to go around her, and I would always hear her talking to my other aunties and just sharing different things. And I would hear her say, it's something different about Quanisha. She just totally different from everybody else. I knew it too. And so at times, because of what I went through, I couldn't really talk about it. If I tried to talk about it, it just seemed like things got a little worse for me. So I just kind of learned to cope with things, not even just cope, but I made it a lifestyle. Look, I'm finna enjoy life. I'm enjoy me. Whatever comes, I'm having to learn how to just roll with the challenges and do whatever I can do to get through the process. So I even believe even now, I was probably about the age of, I want to say 13. That's when I had the first situation of encountering where I was taken advantage of. And I knew in my mind then, like with everything that was going on in my life, with the way my mother was living, I had to kind of make some choices for myself. At that particular time, I started running away from home. The irony through all of this is that a lot of my family members actually thought I was running away because I was being fast. I was actually running away because I was scared for my life, and I was just like wanting something different for my life. And so just to run away from the abuse and just the negative conversations, the negative back talking that came to me. It was just like, I was like, can there be something different for my life? I had an amazing auntie, which is my mother's sister. She's one of the middle-aged children up under the older children. And she had no children. She's now no longer here. But she was kind of like, she took it in. That was a God thing. From the time I was probably maybe like 9 on up, I became her baby. That's all I knew was like what I was missing from my own mother with the love and attention. My Aunt Audrey, God placed her and landed me. And I didn't even know the older I got before she passed. She started talking to me and she started sharing different things with me. And she even let me know that what God had put in me, I was a special child. And I knew that even at a very young age. I kind of think about Moses. Moses did not know what was in him. And to be
Right.
honest, he was a child. And so for his mother, when the decree came out to go and kill all the male seed, his mother's kicked in wisdom, like, I don't want to see my child die. So let me go ahead and do what I need to do. And I often think about my life being like Moses. A portion of that is God taking you and raising you up in the enemy's camp. And
Yes.
when you get raised up in enemy's account, now he said, now I'm bringing you to a place of getting some full understanding. Your awareness is starting to kick in, like something is off and something is different. Why am I doing what I'm doing? There has to be more to me that I have no knowledge of. And so, as he was working with the Pharaoh's men with the slaves and beating the slaves, I can only imagine he was like feeling the whiplashes, like something is off. Like when he hit them and they're pressing the issue for me to go and beat these slaves and different things, he started feeling the pressure of. And so I'm kind of reminded of that. So about probably the age 13, 14, I really started having this sense of awareness, like, I need to start doing my research. I need to fall in suit. And I say this all the time when I got saved. Before I got saved, I used to think to myself, with everything I've gone through, with everything I'm going through, it seemed like the love I'm looking for is not happening. The kind of love I desire, I'm getting the opposite of that. And so finally, once I get past all of
Excuse
that,
me.
I get to probably about the age of 16, 17. I met my husband. That was a major transition for me. I actually kind of say my angel, God sent him as an angel. He became my best friend. I was able to open up. We talked about every single thing. And it seemed like the more we conversated, the more I shared, the more I poured out. Like he sat, he listened, he imparted. I mean, it was so amazing. Like my life was changing.
How
I
did you
was
guys
changing.
meet? How did you meet?
Woo, hallelujah. So my father, actually, it was summer of 93. I remember it. It was the summer of '93. I actually met him July the 4th. It was his sister's birthday. I had just got back in town from staying with my father over years. Things had transpired earlier. And so my father had heard, and I ended up shifting and moving in with him for some years. So the older I got, and what had happened was my mother had called for me. She just said it was time for me to come home. And so I was led to come back. That was July 2nd. I want to say July 2nd, July 3rd. 2 days later, I received a phone call, and I hadn't been in contact with anybody from Oklahoma. I got in contact like that particular day. I literally got here, and a phone call came in and said, well, we was just trying to see. It was on our hearts. We was checking in to see how's Qunesha doing, your daughter, and like I was here. And they had invited me to a birthday party, which was my husband's sister's birthday. And that's where we ended up meeting at. The irony of this is so funny because everybody asks us, like, you two are totally two different people. He is so humble. He's so quiet. Qunesha, you're very vocal. You're open. You like to talk. And he's just like, he can talk, but he's very mellow and quiet. So he doesn't talk a lot in public, but when he talk, he'll talk, amongst family and friends. And so me and my sister, and I went and picked up the two young ladies that had called for me when I got into town, and invited me to this birthday party. So we goes to this birthday party. It wasn't a Christian birthday party. Very formal, relaxed, nothing real bad or anything of that nature. Very family oriented. So my husband has a huge family. And so it was like, it was actually amazing just to see that, something I hadn't seen in probably a long, long time, but he has a huge family. Everyone was out. It was a family gathering, and he was chasing me. I wasn't really interested. He was really chasing me. And I don't know if I like to tell this story. So he has a cousin. He's very young. He's younger than us. At the time, he reminded me of Steve Urkel.
Who
And
did, your
so,
husband?
no, his nephew.
Okay.
His
Wait,
ne-
I want to acknowledge we have a guest that came in, Joyful. And hi, Miss Joy. Good evening, pillars. Hi. Thank you so much for being here. Please share and tell others to get on here and listen to this story. Thank you so much. All right.
Hi, Joy. And
All
so
right.
it was quite interesting. So his nephew reminded me so much of Steve Urkel. And I was just sitting there thinking to myself, like, what is going on? This is so awkward and so weird. I'm just like here, just kind of minding my business. I'm just out for the evening. I was in my mother's car. So, growing up, trying to do the responsible thing, I was making a lot of decisions for myself. That time I was 16. And so it was a lot of different things coming my way. It was a summertime, and I just wanted to have just a chill summertime. And so, yeah, so he sends his nephew over there, and I never saw who he was. I didn't even know he was there. I didn't even know who he was. But his nephew came over there and he said, well, my uncle sent me over here and he has interest in you. He just want to talk to you, see if, you had a man friend or anything of that nature. And so I was like, I'm not interested. And I said about 1,000 times, I'm like, I'm not really interested. I'm just kind of trying to get to myself. I made a vow to myself that when I left where my father was, and with everything I had encountered up to the age of 16, I was like, I just have this thing in my mind of learning how to be an independent person, learning how to, like, I'm getting ready to move in another stage of life. So going to college, I want to become a doctor. So I have this vision of different things that I wanted for myself. And I had said to myself, I just didn't want to be in a relationship. I was done with that, with everything that had taken place in my life. And probably like the last time he sent his nephew over there and he said, look, you done turned my uncle down 1,000 times. He keeps sending me over here. I can't go back. I got to tell him something different. So he said, he wants to know again, do you have a man friend? I kept thinking to myself, looking at him like I am looking at Steve Urkel. I was like, this is so embarrassing. Everybody in the party is looking at me like, this is weird. So, I felt and I thought about things I've gone through, and I said, I don't want to hurt him as a young man, step on his ego, because I was like, maybe, I don't know, something going on with him. But I said, I tell you what, just tell him, yes, I have a friend that I have. So, just kind of leave me alone. Yes, I have someone I'm talking to. So he says, I'm not going over there no more telling my uncle anything. Will you just have a dance with me? He did it just like that. I just thought that was the most amazing thing that transpired in my life. Like, what is the irony of all of this? And so he danced with me, and it was so amazing and funny. Like, it kind of shifted the
So
party.
the Urkel, the guy that looked like Urkel, he was the one that danced with you?
Yes, he was the one that got the dance and not
Did
his
he dance
uncle.
like Urkel?
Oh my gosh. I was like, Lord have mercy, bless this baby, Lord, bless the baby. And I danced with him, and it seemed like that was the most amazing thing for him. I didn't hear from him throughout the whole party after that. And he said, I'm just going to tell my uncle he need to mind his business and leave you alone. And so I thought that was so amazing. But yeah, time went past, went on, and we were actually headed out because, like I said, I was in my mother's car. We was transitioning, and I was just trying to do the responsible thing. I had my little sister with me, so I was like in my mother's car. Let me go ahead and leave, drop them off, and I'm going home. And so as we were leaving, I thought this was the most like crazy thing in life. He was very attractive. Woo, Jesus, very attractive. But I was not giving into it. I was like, I'm not giving into it. I made a declaration to myself. I am going to stand on it. I don't care what. I mean, he's nice looking and all the other stuff. I had to really talk to myself. And I said, because no, that's how we get in trouble, when we allow our emotions and our feelings and our flesh to override. And so I did just that. I was so proud of myself. And when I finally got the nerve to literally walk over there and get ready to say bye to him, like from nowhere, I was like, every young lady at that party found him attractive. I don't know what happened, but I was like, this young man tried to talk to me this whole party, and looked like all the ladies was lined up to go and hug him, embrace him, was conversating. And I said, ooh, I'm just so grateful and thankful. See, I just knew it. I just knew it. I just knew it. It was something going on behind all of this. I just knew it. And so it was so funny. So as we were leaving, his sister came up to me. She's the oldest. She comes up to me and she says, you've been at this party all this time. My brother he's really into you. And I'm like, he has not had actual words with me. So we never conversated or anything. And I just said, well, I'm not interested, I'm not really interested right now. I have a lot of things going on in my life, and I'm just not really interested. And she was like, well, we are going to eat breakfast. Would you like to eat breakfast? I said, no, ma'am. I said, I have my sister and I have some other people with me. I just need to make it home. So as I'm getting in the car, he chases the car down. And he was like, oh my gosh. He said, I've tried to talk to you the whole time since you were here. And I just said, I'm just sorry. I'm just not like interested. Now, listen, I was quivering. I was like, oh my Jesus, this brother is creased up and everything, but I'm not giving into it. I'm not cracking no smile. I said, because the enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy. And I have no idea. I'm just getting here. I don't know anything about anybody anymore. I'm like totally going through a process that I'm going through. And probably we left that night, and we left that night, and probably the craziest things that happened 2 weeks later. I don't know what transpired, but I was at home. It was summertime. I was at home, and I was just like, it's just something weird. I keep having this sense of something weird. This young man is sticking out to me. Like, it was very weird. And I was like, this has never happened to me before. Like, I just didn't just go and talk to, guys, stuff like that. But I was like, this is really different for me. So let me kind of back up through something. Earlier, my mid-teenage years, my father was military. So we got to travel, do different places and different things of that scenario. I have a sibling that's in Georgia. So if you're watching, you from Georgia, I'm sorry, this is just my testimony. So I've never known anything about Georgia. We get to Georgia, and Lord, Dad, you hear my stuff. We get to Georgia, and I remember, and it's going back to up leading with my husband. We get to Georgia, and it was summertime. So we end up staying there probably for about a year. I went to school there for about a year. Probably the first, second week that we was there, we were walking through the community, and it scared me. So this is what they had, like this huge community thing that was going on, and the whole community was out. They had music, they had everything. So I'm walking through. I have my little brother, that is actually from Georgia. His brother and cousins, they're just walking and showing us around. Some of my siblings that came with me, and I remember a gentleman that reached out to me and was trying to conversate with me, and I'm just sitting here thinking like, this is weird, you know. So I told my brother, I said, well, just take me back home. This gentleman kept trying to approach me, and it made me very, very uncomfortable. So being there, a lot of different things went on with the young ladies that stay in Georgia. There was a lot of abuse. Older men took into younger women, and one tried to claim me. And so I was like, oh my God. I literally one day get off the bus. A young lady that became very close to me, come to find out she was interacting with an older gentleman. So when we walked off the bus, he abused her right there at the bus stop. So I mean, like, I have encountered and went through a lot of different challenges and different things. So for me was, I said to myself, if I ever get into a relationship with someone, I was guarding myself, and I was like, we're gonna have serious questions. You're gonna have to tell me what it is you like me, and we have to do all. We're not going through all that, you know, as the world would do. But I had to guard myself because that same young lady, probably maybe a week later, we were on the bus, got off the bus. She got off, went a different direction. He pulled up and shot her in her head, dead. So that scared me for life. And I was just like, it is too many things that's going on out here. And with the way the world is, I wasn't saved. So I'm saying, even being now, how the enemy was manipulating and deceiving these young ladies. And it's still happening now. And it's so sad that these young ladies are being manipulated with these older guys, and how social media, they're putting these photos and different things up, you know. So if you are watching, you young ladies, have some wisdom.
Yes.
Have some wisdom. Have some wisdom, because I'm telling you, they're going to give you everything you want. Because after they give you everything they want, they own you. They own
Yes.
you. It's an enemy
Yes.
putting blocks and bondage and different things on you. The mentalities, they own you, and that is the spirit of the Antichrist. And so, coming up now, going back to when I'm me and my husband, like 2 weeks later, I was sitting there thinking about him, and I was like, man, I didn't want to talk to him at that party. I really didn't want to have anything to do with him. And I was just like, I don't know why he just keep coming to my mind. And I literally was in the living room, and I just made a comment, and I just said, I didn't get a phone number. Actually, I didn't want the number. And I said, this is really crazy. I don't even know anything about him. So I did pick up the phone, call the young ladies that had came to the party, went to the birthday party with me. And it was kind of hilarious, because come to find out, they grew up with him. So one of the sisters was actually claiming him, that was going to be her husband in the future. So I just was like, I'm not going into that. You know, I just left it alone. Sure enough, one day my phone rings, and I answered. Now, my mama don't play that. She didn't play that. Discipline, I mean, values. She was strict. Be in the house before the dark. Like, you know, she didn't do all that stuff. And so I said accidentally, I answered the phone. She wasn't there, and picked up the phone, and his voice was like, I say Pastor Lewis, but Mr. Brown. And he was like, yes, I'm calling so I can speak to Qunesha. And I was like, oh my God, if my mother came in and picked up this phone, Lord have mercy. But he shared who he was, and we just kind of conversated or what. He became my best friend I mean, we would go to the movies, we go out to eat, and it was just kind of like God opened up the door. God opened up the door as a vow for me to be able to relieve all the pressure, all the things I had gone through and I had encountered in my own personal life, things where I just did not share with people. There were times where I did want to reach out to other people, but it was just to the point where if I told somebody something, they were either going to repeat it or my mama got the information. And man, I'm telling you, I probably experienced abuse, and this is real, even after I got married. I was married 20, me and my husband got married when I was 21 years old. Yeah, I want to say 21. I was 21, and I still experienced abuse from my mother, physically,
Mm.
mentally. It was a strain. Um, just even when when me and my husband got married, and I hadn't even had children yet, but the opposition of I don't. It was just some weird stuff. I remember one situation where we were in our house. Me and my husband, we were married. Our first year, my mother came in, and we would always serve her, cook for her, different things or whatever. And I remember a situation like literally, I didn't know what to do, but I was sitting on the sofa, and you know, I'm married, so I'm, hey babe, hey honey, and she could not take that. She just did not understand. And my mother had some rough situations. Her life was very hard for herself too. So, I do understand. God gave me a lot of wisdom of understanding because of the things that she encountered herself is the reason why she had some of the challenges that she had, that she didn't have an outlet. Yes,
Did,
ma'am.
did she ever talk to you about what she went through to help you better understand why she was the way she was towards you guys?
She explained, I mean, oh yeah, she's very open. There were certain things, but she would say things to me, I think kind of like to provoke me. I don't know if some people have to have like a blanket. So like when you go through something, like I would be her pull on person, like I'm going through this, I'm going through this. So, but if it was something like she started revering going towards her anger or something of that nature, it was shifting and she would take her anger out on me. So whew, yeah. Um, she talked about a whole lot of different things that she went through in her childhood life, similar to what I went through, but it came from inside the family,
Wow.
um, that she went through. So it was other family members that went through the same thing too. So trauma didn't hit me like I saw my mother and some of my mother's siblings experiencing trauma. God allowed me to see it head on. So that's the reason why I said going through the process, being able to try to handle the best way I could handle is that was one of the major things is God gave me insight. Like even when I wanted to be mad and be like, why was I the one chosen? I said that all the time. Why was I the one chosen? I had to be the oldest. I had to suffer through. So something happened to the rest of the children. I took the blame for everything. They
Mm.
have their own stories of what they went through. Yes, ma'am.
And I want to say that if anyone out here listening is encountering domestic violence or abuse, there is a number that you can contact. And that number is 800-799-7233. If you're in a situation and you cannot call, then you can just text 88788. These are serious times, and Pastor Qunesha has gone, she went through these things as a child. And children, if you're going through some stuff, you need to find someone that you can talk to, that's going to listen to you, believe you, and get the help that you need, even as a child. And I know
Yeah.
there was a situation where a middle school girl was being abused, and she finally told a teacher, and that started the ball rolling for some change to occur. So it's just very important that you reach out. And I know at the time that you were going through your thing, there was no one for you to reach out to, you know. And I just wanted to throw that out there. And see, God put your husband in place to be that rock for you. And that's just really beautiful. I did want to ask you, because you said you had lived with your dad, and it sounds like you have a pretty good relationship with your father.
Oh yes, my dad. Well, I'm older now, so I had to make some changes because every time, especially after I got married. When I got married, I was like, my dad, my dad, my dad, my dad, my dad. I never compared him to being with, my dad. I would always say, my dad is my ace booms coons. My father, man, I can't say for nobody else. My dad is an awesome, when I tell you, going through coming up, when God released him from the military and he was able to come around more. God opened up that door where, like, literally, like he chose. He said, "I want to be around my children, especially with what my daughter was going through." So I had an opportunity to like travel in different places with my dad, which was so awesome. I don't want to say I'm his favorite because my dad was like this. If I do one for all, I'm doing for all of you all. It's not one, it's not the second one, it's not the third one. Even my cousin's name was just kind of like, Uncle Corky, like he became like he was dad to everybody, all the family members, the cousins. And so for me, it was a really special bond. I have a bond with my father, even just being older now because of some of the things I had to deal with, internalize with me. There were some things I made proclamation and declaration unto the Lord that I wanted to deal with me because there were a lot of different things that were coming up from the past that I didn't have any understanding during my younger days as to the reason why. My dad, I knew he was in military, just different things. But when parents, if y'all are listening, ooh, Jesus. As a woman, understand rage, anger, bitterness, you want to hold that over the man and you want to hang that over your children. He's a deadbeat and all these different things. Please don't do that. And
No.
one thing I can truly say that me and my mom, she would always try to pour these different things into me about my dad. I just had my mind made up because I'm like, with everything I'm already going through, like, I'm not going to add that on my plate. So my thing was, I know what I went through being here. I haven't had that opportunity to go through with my dad. So I made the choice, not saying he was the righteous person, but I made the choice by saying, I will learn for myself
Yes.
until then.
Yes. And I want to piggyback off of what you're saying. Do not insinuate your children into whatever it is you're going through with your spouse, your boyfriend, or whatever. It's not their issue, and nor is it their business.
Right.
Do not insinuate your children into things that's going on with you, because you're causing extra trauma and drama in their lives that they don't need. They don't need the stress and the confusion as a result of you telling them all this stuff. And if you are no longer with that child's father, or if you're no longer with that child's mother, don't badmouth them.
Right.
Allow your children to make decisions for themselves about the other partner or the other parent. It's not your job to do that, no matter what. And having been in an abusive marriage, I never shared with my son what I went through with his father. That was not my place to do.
Right.
So please take heed. And scripture says, provoke not your children to anger. So don't do things that cause your children to be angry. All right. I just wanted to say that. And you know what? I do have a commercial I need to play. And then we're going to come back and continue this conversation.
creates high-quality products that are available to be used on multiple textures of hair. Her goal is to bridge the gap, to stop people from having to use multiple products because of families with multiple hair types. Her products are currently being used on men, women, children of all ethnicities. Mama Knows products are available at www.mamaknowsproducts.com. That's www.mamaknowsproducts.com. You can also find her on Instagram at Mama Knows Products, because you know, Mama knows what you need.
Out Mama Knows products at mamaknowsproducts.com. They are wonderful products, hair serums, shampoos, conditioners, moisturizers, and they smell wonderful. So you want to check out Mama Knows products because Mama knows what you need. So check out Mama Knows products. I'm telling you, they're wonderful at mamaknowsproducts.com. Okay. Now, back to now I want to talk about some of your endeavors and the things that you're doing. So let me pull up a couple of things and you can share with us more
Okay,
about it. Now, this is your church ministry.
that is correct.
And you want to tell us more about your ministry. And you know, one of the things in your bio, you talked about being outside the sanctuary, being outside the walls of the church. And that's where
Yes.
the ministry needs to be. You know, but I'm going to let you talk.
Okay, yes, ma'am. So, God's Anointed People Gap Ministries. GAP is who we are, and the gap is where we stand. Ezekiel 22 and 30. And that scripture God had gave my husband about who is standing in the gap. He said, I could not find not one who could stand in the gap. And so God had gave him that vision. So we are getting ready to celebrate 12 years of ministry this year. I tell you what, the foundation of the ministry, we started with nothing but with a word from the Lord. I wish I could have, I didn't even think about it till now, had sent in maybe a picture of our startup. And we were actually in a community center when we first started the ministry. And actually it was us five, my husband, our three children, his sister, his mother, some of the nieces and the nephews, and it was probably like a total of 12 of us. We started that was back in 2014, October 2014. And that was the day that we started running. When I tell you, we have been in church. Now, I can't really honestly say from the time I was a child, you know, and there was a huge span in between that. But when I met my husband, we ended up going back to church. Now, here's the irony of all of this. Now, me and my husband, we talked. I think I did all the talking. That was the thing. We talked, and you know, the day probably maybe three so months before we even got married, it just dawned on me. You know, he's really been quiet about his family. He talked, you know, he shared with me at a very young age. He preached his first message at the age of 7. His
Wow.
father was a pastor. His mother was a first lady. Actually, where we ended up staying when we got married, across the street from us, his father and the pastor built the church from ground up. And so that was some interesting things. And so I was just kind of like, you know, something was sticking out. And I was like, I started having this desire thing of coming out from the world. And it was just everything going from one stage to the next stage. And so we would have fun. We kind of go out sometimes on the weekends, stuff like that, to the club. And I remember a few times we ended up going. He didn't like going, but when I did go, it was a few times after we got married. And I remember I was saying to myself, like, something has got to change. Like, I just sense a heaviness of darkness or something was going on. So every single time I found myself going out with his sister, the Holy Spirit, and I say the Holy Spirit would like put a punch in, like it felt like a punch came in me. I couldn't dance, I couldn't move, and I love dancing. And I couldn't move, and I just knew like something's not right. Something not right, something ain't right. And I remember probably this happened like 3 times. The first time I wasn't paying attention to it, ended up going and had a little fun. I was out on the dance floor, and all of a sudden I just got sick. And I was like, I don't know what it is. Like, I can't breathe. I need to sit down. I started complaining. I was like, I don't think I'm supposed to be here. I got to go home to my husband. I'm like, I'm here with his sisters. And, you know, they was a little more outlandish than me. But I was like, I need to go. And so they started complaining like the next time we're not bringing you out because that's all you have to think about is my brother. But I was having more issues just this brother, like brother. I was like, no, something wrong with me. So that was that first time. That second time come around, like I pushed the issue. I wanted to go. My husband was like, okay, well, you going with them, so just make sure you come back. So second time ended up happening. I remember like, and that's been years. I remember like it's today. And so the second time we ended up going, and I was slow. I was slow getting out the car, and I just felt like a rock, a brick was laying at the bottom of my stomach, and I was like, I don't think I'm supposed to be here. Like, I need to go home. Can y'all take me out? Can y'all take me back home? And they was like, no, ma'am. You're going to have to go through this whole process until we ready to go. So I was like, I couldn't call them, you know. I was like, oh, my God. Okay, that was a life learning lesson.
And see, that was God's hand on you even at that time. He had a plan for you.
Yes, he
And
did.
you know, and so he would not allow you to get comfortable in the
Yes,
world.
ma'am. That's right.
And
Now,
so
this last time, I got this last time, we ended up going, and they was like, Qunesha, you are not going. We is not going to go through this, not for a third time. And I was like, listen, I promise. I said, nothing is going to happen. Nothing's going to happen. I'll just sit it out. I just wanted to get out the house anyway, not just to be. I was like, listen, I'll keep my mouth shut. I'm just going just to get out the house. This is what happened. So we were driving and we pulled up to the club, We were getting out. As we were getting out and we were heading in, it seemed like I could feel something like something was off. And so we were walking, and I was walking slow, and it's like, come on, Qunesha, come on. We entered into the club. There's no back door out. It was like maybe put 5, 6, 7 small houses together. That's how huge the place was. And we walk in. Something told me, you need to make sure you cover yourself. And I was like, what does that mean? Like, I've never been caught up in stuff like, you know, what do that mean? But I just felt a real heaviness. We literally get in. I wanted to go to the restroom. And then a fight broke out, and then all you hear was gunshot. When we heard that, I was like I literally, it was a flash that went past me, and I was like, all I could see was darkness. Like, I'm talking to my mind, a way of an escape. I'm like not trying to not worry about nobody else, but I was like, a way of escape. I need to make sure I get out of here. And nobody but God had to be God. Now I'm thinking about it because I don't even know how we got out. But the Lord made a way of an escape. We got out the front door. As we was getting into the car, literally whoever had the guns literally started shooting. Oh my God. So the Holy Ghost said, drop. I had to roll up under the vehicle, and whoever had the gun literally was like right by the vehicle. And I was like, oh my God, if you please give me, I'll never ever do this again. I'll never do this again. And so that was pretty much like the end of that story with all of that. And I was just like, okay. That you don't have to say nothing. My joy is at home, sitting in my living room, me having my peace, and knowing that I'm gonna be okay.
Amen.
I went through that, but God is so good.
He is. He protected you at that time. Tell me about this.
So, Executive Financial Solutions. This kind of came about. I used to work for Capital One. I did Capital One for about 15 years. Started out with like credit cards. Ended up going through like repossession vehicles and different things of that nature. So I got to kind of tell you a little story about this. when me and my husband first got married, we had had a situation where I didn't know anything about credit at all. So, I start tithing and giving. And so I was like, I'm going to go and get me a vehicle and stuff like that or whatever. We had an opportunity when I first got my first credit card. We didn't have children, but I ended up going and getting that credit card and splurging and then spending it on some other people for Christmas. And so that Mervin's credit card kept me in debt for 3 years for $400. Now, how did that make sense? 3 years for $400. Now, you got to think, I'm 20-something years old, 20 years old. I ain't got no sense of not understanding, like, just keep making your payments, pay it off. I was working. I've been working since I was 13, but I had no common sense, no education about finances. I mean, I was in high school. As I was in high school. Hi, Dr. Sandra.
Yes, hello, Dr. Sandra. Thank you for being here. And also Joyful, she said, awesome.
Yes.
So, yes, thank you for being here.
Thank
and
you.
We need to talk about this book before we end today.
Yes.
But anyway, go ahead and finish telling us, because this is important information that our audience needs to hear.
Yes, ma'am. And so I was in debt from that point on, not even realizing the enemy had an assignment. But I ain't gonna just say the enemy, God had a plan too. And so I went through that for about 3 or 4 years, trying to get out of debt on paying the credit card. It seemed like every time I was paying the credit card, it just went towards paying a late fee, and the interest kept building up. So I was like, oh my God, this is horrible right here. Eventually, after the 4th year, we got it paid off, and I still had no understanding about finances whatsoever. I mean, I went to school, was smart. I love math. I even did accounting, but you're talking about sitting down, managing, budgeting, having a plan together for the things that you want, making sure you're paying things off. Didn't have that concept. So later on, as time progressed, we ended up having children. So we started obtaining more unexpected expenses, all these different things. My prayer was, after the Lord had taught me about tithes and offering, I was like, I'm coming up with a system and a plan. I got to get a regiment down, because one thing about it, I love sharing this story, is that it helped me to understand that before I went into my marriage, I knew what was present. My bloodline had a spirit of poverty, food stamps. Every time you got money, your money was gone. You were splurging, you were spending, just lavish, just doing it all. And so, and doing it all. And so, I was just like, okay, I need some help, some assistance. And so the Lord started taking me on this journey. I inquired about it, and I was like, I need to make a change. And I literally, before I got married, I had a fear. I did not tell my husband. I had a fear of coming into a marriage, and I was scared of getting on welfare. I was literally scared, and I was like, what is he going to think? Like all these different things we done talked about. And I have a fear of bringing a spirit of poverty into our marriage. And
but so, God.
Hey, God is
but
so
God.
good. But
and
God.
You know
but
what?
God.
And the thing is, we've got 2 minutes. Can you believe we only have 2 minutes left?
2 minutes?
2 minutes. So I want to push
good.
this book for a minute. Let me play this video right quick so that people understand. This book is amazing.
Yeah.
It's absolutely amazing. You want to get this book. We've got
Oh,
10
yeah.
seconds.
Oh my
You
God.
want to get this book. Hit me up or check out Dr. Sandra or Pastor Qunesha. If you want this book, hit us up on Facebook and let us know that you want this book. I can't wait until the ones that I've ordered comes in so that I can give them to the people that they belong to. And so with that, I want to say that I appreciate you guys coming in and listening and checking out the show today. And she says, grab your copy and become empowered and appreciated. And she also said, maternal pillars is huge. Well, listen, it is. And it's an awesome book. You definitely want to get it. And let me pull us back up here together. And let me say to our listening audience, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you, Pastor Qunesha, for sharing your story and all the things that you talked about and encouraging families and parents to really think about what we talked about and look for those red flags in relationships, because God does not want us hurt. And love does not hurt. Love does not hurt.
It does not.
And so thank you all for listening. And I'm going to pull you down, but I'm going to bring you back up in a minute. So thank you all for listening. God bless you. And we will see you on Thursday with another phenomenal guest. So you take care and see you on Thursday. Trying to end. Okay. Isn't this ending?
Let's talk about it. On the Vera Show. The Vera Show.